There never seems to be enough days in the week when December rolls around to take care of all those to-do lists up in our heads. Well, while we're still in November, it's a good time to consider some year-end moves to help us out financially. To guide us through, I'm happy to welcome back Cory Sickles, president of Safe Harbor Wealth Advisors. Glad to have you back in studio, Cory.
Glad to be here, Crystal.
All right, let's start with investments.
Sure.
Why is end of year the right time for us to be reviewing our portfolios?
Well, in 2025, the market's been up a little over 15% this year. So if you're invested in the market, or that means you're probably invested in stocks, one thing you've probably seen is an increase in your overall portfolio, which means your risk has actually went up as well. So it's a good time to rebalance to make sure that you're at your risk level. Because, just because the market goes up, it could go down as well. And you just want to make sure that you are allocated, the way that you really should be.
All right. And you say folks might be overlooking estate planning. So what should we be thinking about when it comes to estate planning?
Estate planning is not just, for the wealthy. That's the first thing that I would probably say. But it's a good time to review all your beneficiaries. You want to make sure that if something does unexpectedly happen to you, it goes to where you want it to go, right? And life changes. You might have got remarried. You might have got divorced. You might have actually had grandchildren. And so it's a good time to just look at your overall estate plan to just see where you want your funds to go if something does happen to you.
All right, this is the right time of year
Yes.
to do that. And what about health-related accounts? For those who have HSAs, FSAs, what about those?
Well, if you're on an FSA, one thing that could happen is if you didn't use your money, you're going to lose it. So this is a good time to look at your balance, see where you are. The other side of the FSA is if you already went through it, it's a good time to maybe look at it for next year to see if you want to allocate a little bit more, be able to take advantage of the tax savings. And if you have an HSA, if you haven't made your contribution for 2025, it's a good time to be able to do that because, believe me, you're going to need medical expenses later on in retirement. So it's a good way to be able to take advantage of that as well.
Okay, and those health care costs, as we've talked about, can be some of the most unpredictable ones, can't
Exactly
they?
right.
Taxes are on everyone's mind this time of year. So what are some smart tax moves to think about before December 31st?
Well, it's a good time to see how much you've contributed. If you have a 401k or a 403b or any type of retirement account, you want to make sure that maybe if you're trying to max it out, that you're going to be able to do that, to be able to take advantage of that. If you're invested if you have a brokerage account, it's a good time to look at tax harvesting, which is basically maybe selling some things at a loss to be able to offset some of your other gains. And I think it's also a good time to see, do you want to maybe increase your charitable donations as well? Because that's a good way to be able to lower your tax bracket as well. But before you do any of those things, talk to an advisor. I highly recommend that you talk to a CPA to make sure that you're doing the right thing as well.
To double check first. Yes. You often mention Roth conversions. Why is now potentially a good time for Roth conversions?
Well, the one thing that I would say is you should have a good idea of what your overall income is for 2025. And by doing that, you can kind of see where you fall within the tax bracket. So if you say you're a little bit short of the 12%, or even the 22% tax bracket, you can, make sure that you do a conversion, stay within your tax bracket, and really what you're trying to be able to do is create tax-free income later on. So it's a good way to be able to take advantage of that. Again, talk to an advisor or CPA to make sure you're doing the right thing when we start talking about Roth conversions. Because I will say this: tax-free money is the number one thing that you could actually do for yourself when you're in retirement.
Okay, good to know. And this advice, excellent as always. So for anyone out there watching who's saying, I do need some help double checking these things or even getting started, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
They can always give us a call at 614-760-0670 or visit our website at safeharboroh.com. All of our meetings are complimentary. There's no financial obligation, and we have 2 locations, one in Easton and one in Dublin.
And you offer Columbus Living viewers a complimentary meeting, don't you? Will you tell us more about that?
Well, here's the way I always say. Everyone wants to be able to prepare for retirement. And in order to make sure that you're going to have the retirement that you want, you need to have a financial plan. So one of the things we can do is provide, if you don't have a plan, we can put one together. If you do have a plan, we can be that second set of eyes, provide a second opinion to make sure you're on the right track. And again, it's not going to cost you anything besides an hour or two of your time, just to be able to make sure that you're going to have the retirement that you want.
And that peace of mind sure will go a long way, won't it?
Yes, it will.
All right. And we've got the contact information for Cory Sickles up on the screen right now. Cory, as always, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Crystal.